Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm a co-founder here at Fine, and today in this Fireside chat, I'm going to talk with Dan, my co-founder, about turning AI agents into your unfair advantage. I'm very excited about this talk, Dan. I'm very happy that we took this time to share the knowledge. It's pretty exciting what AI is doing these days and how businesses are transformed using its power. And today we are going to explore this vertical a bit more and see how anyone can actually use AI to help themselves and their business. So, to those of you who don't know, at Fine, what we are doing is we are allowing developers to build software with AI agents, basically changing how the world builds software. But this is not the only thing that is being changed these days, and many other businesses are being transformed, as we said. And I think it's an exciting times to live at. And then maybe you want to introduce yourself and say a bit of a few words about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, glad to be here. Thank you, Jonathan. So my name is Dan. I'm the CTO at Fine. I've been building software for the last 15 years, um, and mainly as an engineering manager in several startup companies. And I think now it's the best time to be a software engineer.
Perfect. So, 15 years, one could say that you experienced the earliest days of the cloud era.
Yeah, I think so.
Amazing. So, when before we begin, I think everybody these days know about ChatGPT and large language models, but AI agents are still a concept that not everybody is really well aware of or understand deeply. And I think it's a good time to start, or a good point to start with, is what are AI agents? What are they? What can they do?
Yeah. Well, it depends who you ask, but I think that Um, let's go with the formal definition of AI agent. So basically, an agent is a LLM setup that runs towards a goal or a task and uses LLM iteratively to finish this, to achieve this goal. Um, but really, the way I like to think of uh, AI agents is just a smart automation, right? It's just an automation like any other automation that we know today with AI vitamin. So you
Vitamin
have,
AI.
you have yeah.
Amazing. So if I'm using ChatGPT, can I use AI agents with ChatGPT? How exactly does it work?
So the way we use ChatGPT is that we have this chat interface where we work back and forth with the LLM, right? That's not exactly an automated conversation. You provide some context and input to the chat, and then you have a conversation with it. But with AI agent, the idea is that you provide the task to the agent, and the agent has all the tools and the context that it needs in order to achieve to complete the task without the back and forth with the user, or at least with a little bit less of back and forth with the user.
I see. So how can I actually leverage these AI agents? How can I automate processes in my businesses or just personally using these AI agents? Do I have a simple interface today? Is there like one marketplace where I can go to?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I think that AI agents are still in their early days, right? And there are several platforms where you can build and design your own AI agent. Um, Probably many of you have heard about LangChain, which is a platform where you can, for general purpose, building general purpose agents. I think that what's the way I look at it, and from conversations that I have with other founders as well, I think first it requires a change of a state of mind, a specific state of mind. We need to ask ourselves what we can automate with AI agents, and then look for ways to build those agents and deploy them.
Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, we discussed earlier that using AI and by creating an AI first operating system for your startup, you can really create an unfair advantage across multiple disciplines in the startup. So maybe you can give a few examples for how you see this in action or in real life.
Yeah, I believe so. A few friends of mine who are also startup founders, they follow this notion, or they at least they have this wish where they could build their startup and they could achieve with a team of 3 or 5 people on the team what companies with 50 people on the team achieve because they use automation across any function in the startup. That means across R&D, product, marketing, sales, etc. So I really think, and I think that to an extent that's possible. We can identify at the end of the day, and I think I see it definitely. I see it in software, but I think that applies for any function in the company. That at the end of the day, you can identify repetitive tasks that you can automate them. Let that be in sales, product, marketing. You can automate them, and what the AI gives you is that a little bit like of wisdom, let's say, that makes this automation really powerful.
I see. So it's kind of like the next level of automating tasks. It doesn't have to be like very strict, but there is another person or a virtual teammate that helps us automate these tasks. But if I
Yeah.
understand correctly, right now you need to be on the dev side of things to build these AI agents, right? It's still not a fairly easy process for most use cases. Is this correct?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's still very early, and the use cases are still very early, and we see many product companies that build their own agent to a specific use case. So we see product companies that building agents for marketing people or for sales. Um, and that's for the non-technical users. And on the other side of the equation, you have platforms like LangChain or other platforms that are more generic, and then you have to be a developer to really deploy and implement an agent.
I see. Okay, so in that case, I think let's start the conversation about agents that are available to developers, and then let's take it to the more general aspect and see how we can leverage AI agents for other departments. So
Yeah.
when we are talking about AI agents for coding or AI agents in code, many people ask why AI agents give us a better advantage over GitHub Copilot, which many developers love already, or even over ChatGPT.
Yeah. So the way I look at this is that GitHub Copilot or other coding assistants, I call them pen pal assistants. They are really good at getting you the next to autocomplete the next line of code, the next function, maybe even a file. Whether agents are supposed to be to finish the task end to end. So it's the difference between a pen pal assistant to a virtual teammate. Where can you delegate the task, the complete task or feature or bug to this agent, and then maybe only do the code review. So I would say that GitHub Copilot is great, but it's not reaching the full potential of LLMs. Like it's helpful for sure, but it could like LLM can make you way more efficient when you build software.
Interesting. So if we are talking numbers, by how much would you say that like a pen pal like GitHub Copilot boosts your productivity compared to an agent? What are the numbers around here?
I would say off the top of my head that it's like 50% efficiency versus 500% efficiency with AI agents.
Yeah. So
I mean, imagine, ask yourself, how much is more efficient? Like, if I can delegate the task to another person, let's say a junior developer, not like a super senior developer. Let's say if I could outsource the task to a junior developer, would it be more efficient than GitHub Copilot helping me autocomplete the next line of code? Uh,
yeah, I see what you mean. And in a way, you can delegate it to as many junior developers as you want, or as many developers, because you can just
exactly.
create more and more agents, which is pretty exciting. So then you are a heavy user of GitHub Copilot. Actually, you really enjoy using it, and
Yeah.
you really enjoy using dev tools of sorts. But we are building Fine with Fine, and you told me that your usage percentage has dropped because most of our code is not being written actually by humans now. Can you expand some more about that?
That's correct. Yeah, I think that what really these days, where 90% of the code is being written for me by LLM, by Fine, nowadays what really slows me down is being able to write the specifications for the LLM, for the agent.
So you are actually writing the tasks for these virtual developers.
Yeah, and I think that's a trend. That's a shift in our role as software engineers. That I feel it already, and I think the soon enough it will be very common, where we shift away from the code, and our job as software engineers will be to orchestrate those agents and delegate the assignments to those agents. And it's a transition period, okay? It's I must say, it's a transition period, because it's like, the way I think of it is you mentioned that they started building software with the cloud, and that's correct. When you the moving to the cloud was a transition. It took time. It required to develop new skills. Now you need to you have this new concept of cloud and remote database, and you had to develop REST APIs and all of that. It's like shifting from C++ to Python. Over time, it really benefits you to move from C++ to Python, because you develop a lot faster and you can prototype a lot faster, but it's a transition. The same thing goes for building software with AI. It's a transition, it's a skill that you need to develop. But once you catch up on the skill, you can develop way more faster.
That's super interesting. So you mentioned that our job is going to change, but will we still actually have a job? Will I still have a job? Should I decide to be a software engineer right now if I'm studying for my undergraduate? Is this a good direction? Aren't these AI agents going to replace us soon?
Maybe. No, I'm kidding. I think that we still have a job. That, like, we still need software to build, right? Because software solves problems in the real world. And as long as we use software to solve problems in the real world, we still need people to build it. And I think that software engineers are well positioned to build software, because their unique skill is to identify and analyze problems, and they'll build them. And the code is just how we build software today. But the core skill is still being able to break down problems into smaller sized problem, and then solve each problem independently. So the role is changing, but the need for software is still here. That is that unless the singularity happens and AI turns us all to paper clips or something.
Yeah, there are always the small details, always the small
Yeah,
chance. Yes.
with the caveat.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. So I am writing code. I'm a developer. I just heard about AI agents. I'm pretty excited about this, and I actually want to gain this unfair advantage. Where do I begin? Well, how do I start?
I think that one rule that made it easier for me to start with AI is that to know and to believe that AI applies to everywhere. I know that people many times, I know that people think that software engineering is like a chaotic space, and it is a chaotic space. But in the details, if you narrow down each framework or each software development assignment, it is some sort of a repetitive task. Okay, for example, if you are a front-end developer, many times of your work, you need to write a component. Very often, you need to write a component. Okay, and this component, it has an internal workflow, so you can automate this workflow. This workflow would usually look like this. First, you need to create a test, and then you need to create a component, and then you need to update the state management. So what I'm trying to say is that with AI agents, you need to look for specific tasks, and if they are small enough, you can automate them. If they are repetitive enough, you can automate them.
So the repetitive tasks are a good way to get started, but as I understand, it's not the only thing that AI agents can do, right? Like we can also use them for other non-repetitive tasks. Is this correct or?
No, of course. Of course, you can use AI to build software the way you would use IDE to build software, right? Um, it's easier to write, for me, it's easier to write the specifications instead of writing the code. This is how I focus on the what needs to get done instead of how I get it done, or instead of the specifics of the framework syntax or the language syntax.
Yeah, I liked
So
what you told me before that you can't see compiler errors in the specifications. You can't
yeah,
get those
exactly.
deadlines.
Think of how many distractions you have in today's workflow, right? When you want to implement a feature, you repeatedly get breaks from the compiler. You are in the flow, you're zoning into the flow, you're zoning into the problem, and then you get this red line from your IDE because you forgot to add a semicolon. Who cares about the semicolon? I'm trying to build a feature here, right? And that's what AI agents take away from you. They're not like agents are kind of dumb. They won't do the thinking, the high level architecture for you, although they can help with that as well. But they won't take it away from you. You still have to design to focus on the technical design. But what they would definitely take away from you is all of those errors and pebbles in the shoe that that slows you down. So you can really write a specification document, and you can refactor the specification, and this translates one-to-one to code because you have an agent that takes care of that.
That's pretty great. So I think to continue the conversation before we move into other departments where AI agents can help, I think it's pretty obvious how they can help in code, and most of us have seen an example. Maybe tell us a bit about how Fine is using AI agents to build software, and then let's switch to other departments.
Yeah. So the way we look at Fine is that we call it the software development environment for software 3.0, where you build software with AI agent. So instead of building in your IDE, where the main dish is the code, you build software in Fine where the specifications are the main dish, and then you delegate the assignment to an AI agent. So it's a workspace where you can, from one end, to design the specification, and then hand it off to a specific agent that specializes in a specific framework or in doing a specific kind of software development assignment. So users in Fine can design their own AI agents, and this is as easy as writing a YAML configuration file where they can specify this agent is expert in React, and you can assign it resources like the documentation of React and other frameworks, and provide it some more guidelines to how it should build in your project, how it should build React, how it should generate React code. And then you assign a task to this agent. And you could have a task where you assign multiple agents to the task. For example, you assign the front-end engineer, and then you assign the back-end engineer. Of course, the virtual, in this context, the engineers are your virtual teammates.
I see. So if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically Fine is allowing this new futuristic workflow where as a software engineer, I get to focus on what I want to do. I get to specify how to solve the task that the product manager gave me, but I am not dealing with the actual lines of code. I'm not implementing. I am just solving the problem, and an AI agent takes it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
That's pretty cool. I believe that this is a strong unfair advantage, at least in the beginning, before everybody adopts this new workflow. So now that we've talked about AI agents in code, it's interesting to know what is the potential of these AI agents in other departments. So you've told me before this chat that you've seen AI agents in different departments like marketing and sales and even HR. And I'd love to know what you've seen outside and how can our viewers also use this as for their benefit.
Yeah, I think that the same, like software engineering is not special in that sense that it has many tasks that can be automated. And I think that if you look in other departments as well, there are repetitive tasks that are part of the day-to-day workflow that can be automated. They would require just a bit of intelligence to automate them. And AI is that, or LLMs in this case, is that just a bit of intelligence. Definitely, we've seen examples in marketing, in content creation, in sales for sure, and I think we can be creative. I think it's mainly, and I know I've said it already, but I think this is the key point here. It's mainly about the state of mind. It's a question of what you default. Whether you default to AI and automation or to people that would take care of that. It's an operation system that you need to build in order to take that advantage.
I see. So if I understand you right, you say, Jonathan, if you are running a startup, make sure that the decisions you are making are leaning towards using AI first so that we really reap the benefits of this technology.
I think so, yeah. I think it's somewhat similar to what happened when everything in the world went digital, right? Like 15 or 20 years ago. The default for new businesses was to go online and not to open a brick and mortar store, right? If you would open a phone store or shoe store 20 years ago, the default would be to go online and not like how it's done until that point where you would open a real store, a retail store in the city center. So I think now it's the same thing, but with AI. The default for new businesses would be to use AI agents to be very efficient, and they would have high operational margins because they really can get a lot more with less.
So say that I'm a company of like 50 employees right now, and we already have our structures, we already have our processes, we have our workflows defined. How difficult would it be for me to start using AI? How much effort would it take to switch to this AI operating system? Is it
Yeah.
even possible for me?
I believe so. I believe that you can start by adding AI to your current processes, and maybe you could achieve with 50 people what a company bigger than you with 500 people can't reach. I think that the the primary users who will enjoy this will be software engineers because they have more access to it. So it's easier to start. As the more technical you are, it's easier to start. So I think, yeah, if you are running an R&D organization, don't waste your time. Go and start adding AI to your software development processes. Your product will get faster. You build your product faster. It will be better, and this will generate more business outcomes, right? So I think this is the way I would start. Uh, but maybe I'm biased because I'm an engineer and I see the opportunity there.
I see. I see. Great. So maybe one last question that we've been asked before. So um, we have these AI agents that help us in code. We have these AI agents that help us in other departments as well. But right now, the other departments that want to use it, they are having a difficult time. Would, would you say that it would be smart to lend some of the resources of the R&D to these other departments to help them with developing agents internally, or should they wait for other solutions to come out? Should I? And actually, this goes for all, even for the R&D themselves. Should I, as
Yeah.
I am as an R&D organization, should I build my own agents or should I use an outside platform?
I think that at this point, what I see is that like each have their own specific workflows, and at this point, I don't see like this super generic product that fits every use case. So for sure, if you can buy a product that fits magically fits your use case, I would say why not. But I think that everyone, and especially in R&D teams, you see that everyone has their own workflow, their own tech stack, their own specific problems, and I think that you should at least get a solution that is highly customized. So you could customize it to your solution. I think building from scratch an agent without any platform or something like that is a terrible idea. I can tell from experience. It's like there are so many issues that you have to deal with when building an agent on top of LLM that you don't want to deal with. It's like it's not your job to deal with uh, uh, token limit and other issues involved in working with LLMs. So my short answer: buy solutions, but hopefully those solutions are uh, highly customized for your use case.
That's incredible. All right, Dan, it's been 30 minutes. Thank you so much for talking with me today and for sharing your knowledge. I'm sure that some of our viewers will have some questions, which we are happy to answer. So if you watch this fireside chat and you liked what we talked about, I invite you to continue the conversation on our Discord server, where the community talks about software 3.0 and about building software with AI agents. We will put the link in the description below, and stay tuned for what's to come with AI agents and Fine. Dan, do you have a final message for our viewers?
No, it's been my pleasure. Come and try Fine. Start building software with AI agents, and we're waiting for your feedback.
Amazing. Okay, so until next time, have a good one.